First of all, congratulations on multiple levels, right?
Thank you.
Congratulations
so much.
on the special. Congratulations on the baby.
Thank you. Thank you.
What?
Are you a dad?
I am. I got two.
Oh my God. How old?
Now, 17 and 13.
Holy moly.
Yep.
How old are you?
I'm 49.
God, you look incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
It's the Cowboys. I think have we just started? Do they know about our cowboy boot conversation?
If they are not recording us, I will be upset.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, wow, you look great. So you're 40, you're 50, you're almost 50 years old.
I'm going to have you in boots before you leave.
Oh, I'm here. This is like an urban version of a cowboy boot. But that's not even a cowboy boot, right? Because it's not like pointy at the front.
No, it is 100%. You got different toes, different heels.
Got it. It is it's like a nice way for guys to flex, right? There's a lot of femininity in the cowboy boot. It's like,
here we go. This is going to be.
I'm just saying, you guys talk about, like, women talk about purses. It's like it's made out of ostrich.
100%.
You know, look, it's my lizard boots. You know, it's like I understand, like, within your culture, it's like there's a lot of bravado. But
no,
like,
you're right.
New Yorkers hear about it. We're like, wait,
men shouldn't talk about their shoes.
No, we love sneakers. We love talking about sneakers. We get it. We're on the same page. You know, I get a new pair of sneakers. What I like about the cowboy boot is that, like, there's more longevity in it. Like, if I scuff my sneakers, there's no value. But, like, you, like, really wearing the boot.
I have my dad's boots. I inherited my dad's boots.
No way.
Yeah, and my sons will get these boots. These are not disposable.
I love this.
Yeah, right?
I love this. We need to do that more, like, passing down things. That's something I think that, like, are we already in on America?
Let's do it.
That's something I think that we're, like, maybe missing out a little bit on is, like, there's certain places where, like, all right, your dad was a cobbler, and you're a cobbler. And there was, like, honor and purpose in that. And I feel like as much as I'm, like, a big dreamer and I want to go out and do these, like, crazy things, maybe not everybody has, like, this really specific, nuanced dream, you know? And then maybe they feel like, oh, man, am I a loser because I don't want to go out and be a journalist or I don't want to go out and be an artist or whatever. But there used to be this purpose in this, legacy of what they provided for the community. So maybe we could reward that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think there's two things that you're talking about. There's honor in so many different types of jobs.
Yeah.
And we have, because, look, and let's be real, you're a famous, successful comedian, and you scroll across our phone all the time. So, of course, that becomes aspirational.
Yes.
For everyone that's scrolling their phone all day long. But the dad who's a cobbler has just as much honor.
I agree with you. I'm like, how do we, like, reinstill that? How do we not make it seem like, oh, you just did whatever your dad was doing? Because... And then there's cultures where it's, like, too rigid. Like Japan, it's too rigid. Like, there was this one family that owned the same hotel since the year 703. There was probably a lot of, like, Japanese dudes during that time that, like, maybe wanted to be a comedian. They're like, I got to open a hotel. This is what we do. This is our job. So maybe that's too rigid, and maybe we're the other way. And then maybe there's this middle ground where, like, if you want to continue the legacy of your family, that's awesome. That's great. And we really love that.
Did you ever watch the show or read the book Shogun? James
No,
Clavell.
but Rogan talks about it all the time.
It's an awesome show.
Okay.
It shows the clash of Western civilization. This is going to be explorers from Europe in, like, the 14 or 1500s when they first encounter Japan.
Yeah.
And you encounter this society where you honor freedom. First of all, you're honoring freedom. Yeah. You're honoring individual aspiration and ambition.
Yes.
And now you encounter the society that does not value those things. They value family and honor and respect.
Yeah.
And you walk away from that going, I'm not sure which society has put their values the highest. Which one is the better version of a civilization?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of the two. You need a little bit of freedom. Actually, you need a lot. What do you mean? What are we talking about? Ours is way better. We just need a little bit of the Japanese stuff. Have you been to Japan?
Never.
That's culture shock. Japan's cool. Like, they're the masters at refining everything. Like, they figured out their culture. They're done with that. So now they just, like, perfect everyone else's cultures. Best pizza you ever have is in Tokyo.
Well, I also like their pride in their own culture.
Oh, dude, there's so much pride. If I ever see a Japanese person doing something out in public, before I even see them doing it, I know it's the best thing I've ever seen. Because, like, they would never, like, bring... You know how, like, everybody in America turns 30 and they're like, I'll be a DJ. Thanks, brother. We have no shame, like, at all. You know, we're just like, try it, you know? Whereas, like, for a Japanese person to, like, go and fail in front of everybody and bring shame on their family... This right here. Okay? What is that called? Harikari? Sudoku? Seppuku. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Will, did you think we would be here 5 minutes into the interview?
This is what I wanted. I just want to see where it goes. By the way, one of the things I'm most impressed with you about is when I see your stand-up, and I don't know how you do this. Yeah. So there's a lot of different smart stand-ups.
Okay.
I think Chappelle is incredible. Forget his comedy.
Yeah,
this is a smart human
Clearly
being.
a smart guy, yeah.
So are you.
Okay.
I don't give gratuitous compliments. I'm telling you. And here's one of the most obvious indications of your intelligence. And I don't know how you do this, though.
Okay.
You do a show in the Middle East.
Yeah.
You do a show in Asia.
Yeah.
And you not instantly, I'm sure it takes a lot of work. You get the inside jokes of that culture and that community. And Andrew, literally, and not that I've consumed every bit of stand-up comedy there is, I don't see anybody else doing that.
Yeah.
And you're doing it from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
How?
Well, I ask questions. I'm just curious. So, like, if you ask people things about, like, where they're from or something that they really, take pride in, they'll tell you everything, Like, now I can't, when I go down south and I see a guy in Lucchese's, I'll ask him if he got him from his dad,
Yeah.
And, so there's just like, or if I see a guy with Lucchese's and they're like too like folded at the front, there's like a big crease, and you'd be like, oh, you couldn't fill your dad's boots, huh? Right? Like, so it's like I'm just constantly absorbing information, and like is like idiosyncratic as it possibly can be.
But you're from New York,
yeah.
So you have a show in Dubai, and granted, living in New York, you get exposure.
Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, okay. So
beef about that.
So, but you live in New York, so you have exposure to a lot of different cultures here.
Yes.
But that doesn't give you insight into the minutia of that culture.
No.
So are you going months ahead?
No.
Hanging out weeks ahead? How do you?
Sometimes it's like the day of, and that's kind of like fun and exciting too, because you're going on stage and you're like, all right, the first 10 minutes, like I've never tried before. Let's see how this goes, And
But you're writing an act the day of?
Well, I have my act, which is like the hour, and then the opening. Sometimes I'll do like 5-10 minutes just like on them, and the more foreign the place, like kind of the more interesting it is, because I get to make these little observations. And if what I've realized about people is that like there's this idea that people don't want to be made fun of, or it's bullying or punching down, or it's actually not the case. They do want to be made fun of, but for like really specific things about their culture. They don't want like the hacky joke, like in Indian accent with the guy going like this or whatever. That they're like, oh, I've seen that a million times. But they do want like a really specific, nuanced observation about their culture, and then they feel like seen, represented, and they're stoked on that. They love that. And I mean, the evidence for that is like these people come. I get to do an arena in Abu Dhabi.
Where's it failed, by the way? You got there that day. You made some insights.
Oh God, I've had some bomb, man. It was. I mean, like, yeah, you just bomb all the time. I mean, there's also just like fun things in comedy. Like sometimes you try to localize things that. First of all, I'm going to tell a story about a friend. I don't want to make it seem like I haven't failed in every single place, like all the time it happens. But this is just the funniest story that's coming to mind. Sometimes you try to localize material because you're like bringing the people into your show. My buddy Mark Gagnon, who opens for me, hilarious comedian. He had this great joke about like Uber and about like the Uber driver like trying to talk to you and stuff like that. I don't want to give away his joke, but we're in Vancouver and he opens up with the joke and he's like, man, we were taking the Uber here and blah, blah, blah. And the audience doesn't react at all. And it's because Mark doesn't know that Uber's banned in Vancouver. Okay. So there's no way you could take an Uber to the show.
Oh, no.
Because it's illegal. Right? Unless you Ubered from Seattle to Vancouver. So he's doing like a 3-minute bit and he's like, man, this is tanking here. Like, what's going on with Uber? So there's a perfect example of like, you got to make sure you get your facts straight, or else you're saying a joke to 10,000 people and they're like, I don't know what this guy got this.
You've blown up. And I was just talking, like, when did this happen for you? But it feels to me, like it's within the last 5 years. Yeah,
probably.
Your life's professionally,
big time.
Your life has changed in the last 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, there's like, it's definitely changed in the last 5 years for sure. But you go through these like weird things. Like I got success kind of early on MTV, and I was doing all these shows on MTV. Never really got any attention from like the stand-up world, but I was always doing stand-up at the time. And that was at a time where like as a stand-up, you needed to get success at something else you didn't care about to do stand-up. Like all these stand-ups didn't want to act, but like the idea was, all right, if I act, I get to do stand-up, right? So I do stand-up. I would come and do these shows here. I would do like Red Eye here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, all the time. Like Bill Schulz actually is my like second cousin.
Really?
How random is that?
Yeah. I used to do Red Eye. It was one of my first. Yeah. That was one of my first entries into Fox.
Yeah. So an actual family member. Yeah. And like we connected when I was going to do Red Eye once. And he was like, I think that we're related. And I was like, how? And I was like, yeah, my dad is your dad's cousin.
Really?
How crazy is that? Yeah. So, So I would just do these, and then like that, all that kind of stuff dried up, and I was doing the podcast with Charlemagne, which thank you, Fox News, whoever you assigned to listen to that every single week. I see you guys post that all over the internet. We are the number one political analyst show in America. We are. We are a very important show.
I think it's because you're doing something really good with Charlemagne.
I agree with you.
Well, I'm sure you do.
Anytime you compliment me, I agree with you.
I'm sure you do. No, but here's why. A, we so rarely get to see people who have different points of view, but still like each other and are friends.
Yeah.
And B, you're both thoughtful. Even though Charlemagne's given me Donkey of the Day at least once, maybe twice.
No!
Oh, yeah.
For what? What'd you do?
Oh, I was on ESPN defending. No, I wasn't even defending. They had a big debate during our big race. Our big race. You know, we're going to re-examine everything in America. Period of time. And they tore down the statue of Kate Smith in front of the Philadelphia Flyers where they play because she sang some wonderful version of "God Bless America." They made a statue, but in the 20s and 30s. She also sang some racist song.
Oh, wow.
Which, by the way, I'm sure she said, I want to do that song.
Yeah.
Like, a woman was not getting to pick her songs in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, this doesn't solve anything to tear down her statue.
Yeah.
And you're diminishing her life into this one thing.
Yeah.
And for that, of course, everybody on set, Stephen A., they were all mad at me. But And Charlemagne gave me Donkey of the Day.
Yeah. Huh, interesting. I mean, I got to see how racist the songs were and how much they were on there.
They were very racist.
They were really bad? Oh, boy. Now I kind of want to listen. Oh, man. But, I mean, less women statues, right? How many do we need? You know what I mean? We got the Statue of Liberty done. You got the one. You know what I mean? Like
you got the big one.
The first thing you see when you come to America, you see this broad holding a light. You're like, she's got to be exhausted. Why? You know? Who's that? It's Paul Revere. That's what most people think when they come to America. Did you know that?
What?
They thought it was Paul Revere.
The Statue of Liberty?
They thought the Statue of Liberty was Paul. There was one if by sea.
Do it. You can do it.
What is it? One if by sea, two. It's one by land, two by sea. I mean, it's gonna be sea. They're coming from England. Why did they even have a way of demarking if they're coming from land? Did they come through Canada? There's no way they're marching down through Canada.
And Trump has been thinking about it ever since. That's why he wants Canada
back. We might need to take it back. How much fun is the idea of taking land again? You know what I mean?
Real fun.
It is kind of fun. Like,
who doesn't want Greenland?
Everybody. No, we shouldn't take land. You know what I mean? Where's my camera? I think, but here's the thing. Do we know what the Greenlanders think? I mean, what an upgrade.
There's 50,000 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they don't think, even if they don't want it, that's a big super PAC ad blitz and we're good.
I think that we could convince them. It's hearts and minds.
We could.
Hearts and minds. Just show them Miami in December.
Right.
When they're freezing off in a tuk-tuk or whatever in Greenland, just be like, this is what it looks like in Miami in December. And then you're on board. What do they got over there? They got minerals? Is that the idea?
That's what they say. They got a lot of land. Most of it covered in ice.
Yeah, but we don't want the land. We're not going to do anything over there.
Back to your point. I like more land.
Oh, got it. I kind of like conquering, I think.
There's only 50,000.
That's a good point. Why doesn't Canada do that? Why doesn't Canada just take over a Caribbean island?
What has Canada ever taken over?
Let me think about that. Nothing, huh?
Did you?
Damn.
This is a pre-tape, so I don't care how long you take.
But they haven't taken over anything?
Canada has never been.
Is this how people are talking in Russia right now? And
let's take Ukraine.
Yeah, and are they having a fun convo on a news show?
Well, I'm sure that's how Canadians feel about this conversation.
I wonder if they take us really serious. They must take us serious, right?
The Canadians?
Or just the whole world when we're having these conversations. Because
you have to take Donald Trump seriously.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I don't know how. Well, okay. I believe this is the difference between the left and the right.
Yeah.
The right takes Donald Trump seriously, but not literally.
Yes.
The left takes Donald Trump literally, but not seriously.
Interesting. Oh, that's good.
It's not mine.
Oh, who said that one?
I don't know.
Who said that? Send her back to where she's from. No, guys, take me literally, not serious. Which one would it be?
And that,
seriously, not literally.
It's, by the way, how you consume comedy.
Yes.
I'll take what you say literally.
Yeah,
but
don't
there is
take
some
anything
seriousness to what you have to say.
Yeah, there's an emotional truth. The best example of that is take my wife, please. You know that old like Borscht Belt joke that those guys? It's like a one-liner. It's like, take my wife, please.
Yeah.
And it's this idea like, there's going to be moments where your wife's annoying you, and you're like, okay, well, if somebody wants to take her, that's fine. Do you want your wife to leave? No. You love your wife. You love your family. You want everything about it. There's a moment where you have this emotional reaction. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and you're like, I hope that car flips over. And then 10 seconds later, you're like, oh my God, that would be horrible if that car flipped over. So it's like, comedy is this knee-jerk emotional reaction to thing, and then 10 seconds later we become a regular human being again. So don't take me too seriously.
Okay, but back to you and Charlemagne.
Yes.
So you represent a thoughtfulness, a differing point of view.
Good faith conversations. I think that's...
And honest.
Yeah, it's like, I think a lot of content now is like, there's like reaction channels. Everything is like reaction. And then dunking setups, right? And it's like, we've been friends for over a decade. Like very close. So neither of us wants to like dunk on one another to get some social media followers. So we have these good faith arguments as friends do, which is what people do at the bar. Like that's what actually happens when you go out. Your friends have different opinions and it's not as tribal. You disagree. It could be about sports, it could be about politics, about culture, but whatever it is. And to me, I think it's like an actual, I would never admit this even though I'm going to admit it, but I think it's kind of an important show because we have different viewpoints on the current administration. I think probably I'm more optimistic and he's more pessimistic, but we have the same goal for America.
When I just met you.
Oh, man. Will, they got to admit. Did they just put a sticker on the...
Yes.
Hold on.
It's a new show. It's a new show. And I said before we came on set, that somebody goes, ooh, you got your fancy mug. It's a sticker.
Print the mug.
How did he do that? We only have 20 minutes together, and he found the sticker.
Let's go. Let's do this.
Was there any hesitation for you to start owning some of your viewpoints on this stuff? Because if you and I were around the clock 5 years ago, maybe it's a little more than 5 now.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare to see somebody famous. Comedians have a bigger pass, and they do it more readily. But even comedians some 5 to 10 years ago were not saying the things that you're saying. Not your edgy jokes.
Yeah.
Your viewpoint jokes.
Yeah. No, it wasn't difficult for me, but I maybe have a higher risk tolerance than most. So it's like, is that the right way of saying it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't mind taking risk. But like, no, it didn't really concern me that much because it's just how I felt. And I also thought that was the only way I knew how to be funny, especially when it came to comedy. Like, I can't do somebody else's version of comedy and be funnier than them and more successful than them. Like, I can only be the most successful at like the version I do. So I'm kind of like shackled to that. Right, which is like talking about things that I feel strongly about, right? So, not to plug my special, I'm not doing a shameless plug, but like
we'll plug it.
But the special right now is just about how like my sperm doesn't swim, and it was really hard for me to get my wife pregnant, and then we had to go through this whole thing. So you've seen it. So it's like, but that's the only thing on my mind. So I wrote the whole special about that. Before that, it might have been these like social or cultural issues.
I loved what I saw you say about moms.
Oh yeah,
it is something I've said. Obviously not as famously and as funny, but, we have spent, again, I think it's a half a century, suggesting that job is beneath you.
Yeah.
And that job, is probably the most foundational job to civilization.
Most important, without a doubt.
Being a mom.
Without a doubt.
And we have to figure out a way to honor what we were talking about, honor that job.
100%. Yeah, I think it's, and I think there are places, like, where are you from originally?
Texas.
You're from Texas. So I imagine, like, there's more of, like, a familial importance in Texas, where the moms, be them stay at home or working, are more honored in their positions. Whereas I imagine,
there's just always there's still a tension, and even with my wife, who's also from Texas, there was a transition period where, they're working, I'm not, I'm less than.
Yeah, and they have to deal with that as well. There's like a societal pressure on them, which I would like to alleviate 100%. I heard this great story from this guy that I was talking to this past weekend about his mom. He didn't even realize he was telling me. He was just talking about his experience. He was like a military kid. His dad was like an engineer, so he grew up in Asia a lot. He was in Japan and Korea and some other places. And he kept telling me these stories about like his mom. She was going to make sure that I had friends. So this is 70s and 80s. So she found a way to get Superman 2. A copy of Superman 2, and she threw this party, and all the other kids that were like these international kids or these military kids came in, and he was the cool kid who had. So she's found all the black markets, and she's getting Apple Jacks. She's getting the American cereal you can't get over there. I know this sounds ridiculous now because you can get anything in the world. But like, I looked at these stories that she would tell, or that he would tell about her, and I was like, oh wow, this woman is not going, my job as a mom is just to make sure that the baby's fed and then put down and maybe teach him stuff. She's like, no. I'm going to be super mom. I'm going to do everything to give my kid the best shot at whatever it is in the world. He was playing too many video games and stuff, and one day she just came in the room. She's like, all right, it's over. You got to start socializing. You got to meet some friends. They moved to Oregon. She walks door to door with him, and she's like, we're finding friends today. And it was like this dedication, and I don't even know if he realized what he's telling me. It's like this beautiful dedication to the role of mom that is beyond just feeding and nurturing, but like really cultivating like what that human is and giving him the best experience in life. And it made me feel guilty that like I'm working and my wife is at home right now taking care of the baby. And then there's a part of me that's also like, okay, but like, can you handle the renovation as well? Because I'm busy working, so maybe while you're at home, you could do. And I'm like putting other things on her plate. And until that moment, I didn't realize like, what if her only focus was just how can we give every amazing experience, opportunity, like personality growing situation for our daughter? And she's not bogged down by like the stain of the wood in a house somewhere. You know, like, I just thought that was really cool. Now it's a huge privilege to be able to do that focus, but it would be really nice if America would really embrace motherhood in that way for those that have the privilege to stay home with them.